Now, the backbone of Creed's rhythm section comes from the other dude named Scott. When you think of drummers and what they do in their spare time, what do you think of? Tom Lee making home movies, Stuart Copeland making crank calls to Sting? Well, Creed's not your typical notorious rock band, as I found out when I talked to drummer Scott Phillips and his way of passing the time.
You do your best to keep the lumber industry going. How many pairs of sticks do you go through?
I probably go through anywhere from like 3 to 6 sticks a night, not counting the ones that slip out of my hand constantly, and I get ragged on them from the guys all the time. Yeah.
Do you ever think about gloves?
The glove helps. The glove helps. That way nobody else is in danger unless they're in front of me.
This isn't the golf channel. It's closed on the dial, but now I'm going to get the Scott Phillips golf lesson.
First, most important thing is the grip, right? I have an overlapping grip.
I don't do the overlap like
you do the baseball?
Yeah, baseball, yeah.
Right on. Well, that'll work too.
Okay. Extreme confidence in your teaching ability.
Oh my God.
4! I'm going to be Dorf.
Dorf on golf?
I guess it's also a good way, as you take your clubs on the road, to unwind too, right?
Absolutely. It's just nice to get away from it all for 3 or 4 hours a day.
Plus, you get a lot of your aggressions out of the skins, you know?
I think that's why I get, you know, the reputation for being as laid back as I am, is I get an hour and a half of, you know, mental therapy every night by beating the hell out of the drums.
Yeah. Tell me about the spot that you picked beside a golf course.
I got into golf, I guess, 4 or 5 years ago, and just every time we went out on tour, we got to play all these different courses all the time, whatever city we were in. And found this neighborhood. Seemed like a nice, quiet place to, you know, make the neighbors mad. My grandfather got my first drum set when I was actually had already graduated from high school. So like a $200 kit. I didn't have enough money to get a nice drum set, and was still kind of battling the choice of, all right, I need to get serious about school, or I need to really pursue the music angle. I actually had the choice made for me because Florida State kicked me out for not having good grades, but within a month of that happening is when I met Scott and Mark.
It was an interesting meeting too, right?
Yeah, they were actually trying this guy out, and he was, you know, a pretty good friend of mine, and he'd get up and take a break, and I'd sit down, and Mark and I would jam back and forth, and by the end of that practice, they were like, we want you to be the drummer.
What happened to that friend of yours?
I haven't seen him much after that.
And he's his neighbor. He lives right next door.
Exactly. Sorry, man.
So what from this place do you have to take with you to make sure that, you know, a little bit of home follows you around? The dogs?
No, the dogs.
Because if the dogs go, the water has to go with you.
Exactly. You guys missed them swimming earlier. They're insane. They're inbred.
Do you go back to the malls that you used to work at and just kind of
I've been in there a couple times. Actually, the store that I was at, it was in Tallahassee. It was a knife store. So I sold knives to all the samurais in Tallahassee. I had no idea there were that many ninjas and samurais in the greater Tallahassee area.
I saw you guys at the VH1 Music Awards.
Yeah.
And I got that sense that you and Mark and Scott were just anxious to get going.
Yeah. Your adrenaline at that point takes over to where we're all itching to really get out and do a full show.
Very soon, my friends, we will see Scott Phillips in action, pounding on his kit like it stole his lunch money. Right here in Atlanta on VH1 Opening Night Live. Now, Brett Hessler is playing bass for Creed on this tour, but he's also pulling double duty. He's the lead singer of one of the opening acts, Virgos. Now, exactly what goes into a show like this? Well, let's just say, where there's smoke, there's fire, but where there's Creed, there's lots and lots of fire.
Mainly the thing that rehearsal is good for is just figuring out the flow of the set, which songs sound good together, and how to end them, how to start. James here runs the light show. He's got all this great equipment to run it with.
It's like mission control back here.
Yeah. That there's Kirk. He runs the whole show. He's the man in charge of the sound, and that's his office right here.
Well, let's hit the stage.
All right.
So is this your entrance onto the stage?
Yeah. That's how I get on stage. This tour we have a whole bunch of pyro that comes out from under here.
When when we were just watching you guys rehearse and then watching the pyro go through, we were about halfway out there, and we could feel the heat. It must be pretty intense.
Oh, you feel it up here, but it's more of a thing that gets you amped up. You know, the hotter it gets up here, you know, the more it gets you going.
Say we're back here. This is, you know, opening night. So what are you thinking at this point?
We'll all get together and come out here, and the lights will dim out. They'll start the intro music. When the intro music's going, I'll just, you know, kind of run in place, get my blood flowing, and get in a huddle with the guys.
What's happening in that huddle? A prayer, some words of wisdom?
Just tell each other to, you know, kick ass that night. Not just opening night, but every night. And if you can walk out there with confidence for the 2 songs and have it go smooth, the rest of the show will be easy.
What is right or wrong? The amazing set for this show was created by famous set designer Mark Fisher. Don't go anywhere, Creed fans. It's the only place you can see the opening night of Creed's Weather Tour live in Atlanta, Georgia. All right, welcome back to Opening Night Live with Creed. There's Scott Phillips, Mark Tremonti, Scott Stapp making their way to the stage here in Phillips Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. Can you feel it? Coming through your TV screen? And if it's not hooked up to your stereo, hook it up. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the moment we've all been waiting for. The start of the Weather Tour here on VH1.